Turkey bowl game, 11 o'clock.
11 o'clock.
Still the all-time quarterback. Still, they've been hinting on wanting to replace me, but I said, listen, my neighborhood, transfer portal is available. I might end up transferring playing with Monty's.
In my yard.
Hey Gary, I saw when your grandson made the
Right in front of my car.
the singing, the KMA singing.
The what?
The all-state course.
Oh, yeah, great, yeah.
That's surprising.
He's the second oldest boy, was chosen to be in the all-state course. He's done it before, and his little brother is, he's still in the 9th grade. So it's a separate thing, but they wanted to put him in too.
Right.
But he's in the 9th grade and there's gonna be he's making an exception. He'll still get in as a 9th grader. But he was hoping that they'd make the exception so he could rub it in his brother's face. That's all part of it. That's all part of it. Gotta have that, it's bragging rights.
It's just an event where they take over a hotel and they say, Mom, is your mom to take you home or they?
Make sure you didn't have uniform. Yeah.
That is the coolest thing in the world.
It is.
He put his hand out the window and waved at a car.
Good day, all.
Hey.
Beautiful day. Yeah, Dennis gonna come up here and do the prayer. Well, everybody join me in our Father who art in heaven.
Hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, power, and the glory forever. Amen.
Thank you all. Join me in the pledge of allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In the four-way test, for the things we think, say, or do first.
Is it true?
Second.
Is it fair to all, sir?
Third.
Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all?
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. John is not here, so we don't have to share any progressive news about.
Yes, please, let's move on.
And see, labeled 0-4. Absolutely. I don't have to introduce any guests, it's all right up there, and Evan's gonna take care of that momentarily. Don't forget, we have a board meeting after today's meeting. Right here.
Yes, I'd like to thank everybody that's volunteered for the Stanford Toy Foundation. We did such a great job delivering boxes this year. We forgot to bring one here. So if you do have some toys, please leave them here on the table. And we have some posters that got printed. And we actually went big time this year. We now have a Facebook QR code here. Think about that. But we will be picking up the toys here shortly. And again, Gary Wilmhoff just did a phenomenal job with that over the years. And you really didn't get many people involved, but now we've got a team involved and really appreciate Gary's work over the years. And so we're going to do things a little bit differently this year. We'd encourage you, instead of just donating a toy, get more involved. So if you do want to help pack, you can meet down at the Covington location on, they do have 2 shifts on the 13th. And also, if you've actually not delivered toys to families, so the setup time is from 9:30 to 3:30, and they'll give you about 6 to 8, maybe families to drop off their toys. And that's when the meeting of donating the toys really comes. And a lot of the people there, which is gonna sway to, that is their person. And it can be very emotional. And I highly encourage you, if, especially if young kids, to deliver some school.
You see this. Now, if we want to volunteer, we can reach out to them.
Yes, email John.
That.
Yeah.
Julie, what's about?
Yeah, so on my drive back from Delaware on Thursday, a longtime family friend of my husband's family lives in Buchanan, West Virginia, which is the halfway point. He's 95 years old and is a Rotarian. And so I had lunch with his wife, him and his wife. Sylvia, who is 90 years old and still drives and was wearing running shoes and looked like she was ready to take off. So I really hope that when I am their age, I am getting around like they are. So he had just been at a Rotary event the previous night, and so I gave him one of our flags. I just put it in, you don't have to play it. Yeah, you probably have to click because it's on Vimeo. Yeah, try, see if that'll work.
Hello, District 6740. From Rotary in DeVue Park in Covington, Kentucky. This is a wonderful memorial to the Rotary Club of Covington. Been around since 1920. They've got a time capsule buried here that they're going to open in 2070. I hope some of you are around to see them open there. Here we are in November. November, of course, is Foundation Month. I hope you'll all spend some time this month in your meeting talking about the foundation and talking about our commitment to fund that foundation. If you have ever thought about being a Paul Harris Fellow, get with your club president or your secretary, go on Rotary.org, find out where you are in your giving history. If you're close to that $1,000 mark, think about making that extra contribution this year, becoming a Paul Harris Fellow. If you've never given, then give me a call and let me tell you why you should. Rotary asks all of us to give $100 a year. I hope you'll join me in that commitment. We just had World Polio Day. I've been traveling the district. I know lots of you had things going on. Make sure you have a story about your celebration that day and send it to the newsletter. Share your success with all of us. We want to be a part of it. Finally, let's talk about membership. It's always a big deal. We're trying to increase our impact. We do that best by increasing the number of Rotarians in our organization. We just joined a new club. We just welcomed a new club last night. We chartered the Orford County Rotary Club in Versailles, Kentucky. They're up to 28 initial members. They've got a great start and a bright future for them and for that community. If you're working on a new club in your area, or if you think there's a possibility for one, you call me. We'll get together and we'll make it happen. So thank you all. Enjoy November. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
We met in the hospital cafeteria.
Yeah, right.
Website is under construction.
Yes, so it is running, it's under construction. Greg joined in on the last call. We were trained on how to edit pages and do different things in it. I did see somebody for Steinford actually put some dates on the calendar in DAC, so thank you to whoever did that. Because that automatically feeds into the website, so what we need now is help with the content on the different pages. Sunrise of Hope, like what about the initiative, Steiner First Toy Drive, like the history of the club. We need that content to start filling in on the website.
Awesome. Got more people doing it.
I know, and I probably haven't logged mine for like the last month, so.
And if Greg was here, he'd tell you that we had our district conference in May. So live. Any announcements from anyone that wants to share?
The sign-up sheet for ringing the bell for Salvation Army is over there on the front table, so we have
The answer, right?
quite a few openings. So please sign up and do, they're 2-hour shifts. You only have to do one that day, unless you want to be there all day. Rudolph will probably be there all day, so. And someone else can be Rudolph. I don't need to do it for 8 hours. Anyway, so please sign up for one of those shifts. It's on the 12th. It's a Friday. And we're gonna ring the bell from 10 until 8 o'clock that evening. And we've been challenged by the Kiwanis Club of Boone County and here's the Covington Rotary Club also rings the bell. And we've been challenged by them to raise the most money. And I got really good candy to give out, so it'll work.
Thank you, Rudolph.
And Rudolph, yeah.
$50.
I've got happiness $10. I want to thank everybody that did work on the Citizen of the Year. Joe Myman was a very interesting fellow. He nominated him and throughout the whole process, he's like, I'm not showing up. I was like, Joe, you have to show up. And he's like, no, I did this not to receive recognition. I don't want it. So I finally convinced him to come. He didn't even tell his wife until a couple of days. So Ken, appreciate everybody's help on that one. And I got an email from Joe and he says, we are currently with Rotary's money, we are building 175 wells and pumps. Each section contains 3 sections of pipe, 6 threaded each. 575 2-meter pipes with 1,050 thread ends. We bought a generator this year and looking forward to getting excited. So again, thank you for everybody that helped out. And happy sad dollar. Anybody that knew Ken Harper from the Covington Club? He passed away here recently. He was 94 years old. And he had 70 years of Rotary experience. And got to know Ken my work at NKU. And Ken was the original sponsor of the bill that got Northern Kentucky State College funded. And Ken was very humble about that. And that story needs to be told. Oh, no, it's just legislative medical stuff. And so Ken's pretty much was the brainchild in Frankfurt to get NKU funded. So.
Steve.
All right. Just want to follow up from last week's meeting. Mr. Walker, the Barrels head coach, reached out to me on Tuesday and we met on Friday. And I'm going to be the official visual media person for the Kentucky. Yeah, it's awesome. So be sure to come out and see a game and get your picture taken.
I have one, my brother-in-law, Steve Mason, turned 70 on Tuesday. So if you know Steve, wish him a happy birthday on Tuesday. And Ian, I gave a happy dollar to his beloved Notre Dame team, I think 170-7. So he was very happy about it. Wayne.
Well, thank you. Yeah. My fellow Rotarians, our most welcome guests in Gateway, we do appreciate you guys being here today. There's a Greek proverb that once said, "The society grows great when we drink from wells we did not dig. We sit under the shade of trees we did not plant. And we warm ourselves by fires that we did not build." What does all this mean? And as a person is successful when they perform acts of selfless service that benefit future generations. There's 4 points to consider here. It's a selfless action. The proverb emphasizes the importance of altruism in contributing to the greater good without experiencing personal remorse. A legacy. Building legacy extends beyond one's own life. And an intergenerational connection that brings the past to the future generations. And a gratitude And it reminds us to appreciate the foundations laid by previous generations and encourage us to plant new ones. And for us who's got to know John personally, and that's a great picture of John. And one of the greatest pictures and one of the greatest memories of John is when he came back from Africa, from his mission trip. And there's a picture of him holding a young African boy administering the polio vaccination. And in that picture, for us that know John, you can see the intensity that John had and the love that he had just giving that child the vaccination. So today we celebrate that and we celebrate his memory. And with that, I'd like to introduce Adam. He is a good friend of John's, and he always says he got to know John very well. He had a lot of windshield time.
Yeah, that's a good, I should have put it in the slide, but that's good. It's my favorite.
So we're gonna tell a few stories today and share a little bit of background on our friends John and Connie Salyers. We're gonna deviate just a little bit. For those of you who've attended this program in the past, typically we'll have a story about how this came to be between Dwayne and I, and then we'll acknowledge Beth and Don who are here, and then turn it over to our friends from Gateway. But something that is going to be a slight deviation this year, historically, when I have reached out to John and Connie's daughters, Beth and Meredith, they have turned me down to say they're not going to speak. Well, Beth got about maybe 2 or 3 hours notice, and she had offered to share a few remarks today. This program is in this time of the year intentionally because it always falls in close proximity to John's birthday. By way of background, for those of you who don't know, John was a past district governor. He was a club president. And he and I, as Dwayne alluded to, and I'll maybe share a few thoughts about that, I had a lot of windshield time together. But nevertheless, Beth is going to share a perspective. I know John as a hazer and as a teaser and a colleague, but Beth knew him as dad. And
He
certainly
was like that as dad. too.
And Don knew him as son-in-law, which I think was also probably an interesting, but Beth is going to share a few thoughts. Forgive me, I skipped over one thing. Today, it's John's birthday. So this hence the reason I think maybe Beth wanted to share a few remarks. So
How old would he have been today?
78.
yeah, 78 today. So Beth, why don't you come up and share a few remarks about your mom and dad, and then I'll tell a story or two, and then we'll hear from our friends at Gateway.
All right, Adam caught me off guard. I was in the car and he said, "Do you want to come and talk?" And I said, okay. Just first, my dad loved this club. He gave so much of himself to it. And if you knew my dad, you knew that he was, we called him obsessive. Others might have called him dedicated. But when he committed himself to something, he was all in. And he loved Rotary. Sometimes I called it his cult. But nevertheless, he loved Rotary and everything about it. And just the fact that he got on a plane and flew over the ocean anywhere is testament to the fact that he loved what this club does. And he loved the mission and everything it stated for. So, as Adam said, today would have been my dad's 78th birthday. Last week I was sitting at the table with my girls and we were talking about nothing and we were talking about everything. And offhand, I said, they've been gone for 5 years. And it broke me because I also told Adam that I would probably cry today. So
It's okay. I think we're going to too.
that it just, that number took me by surprise. Because in so many ways, it feels like it was yesterday. But there's been so much life that has happened in those 5 years. how many times I have needed advice and I've had to find it somewhere else. They've missed 2 high school graduations of my daughters, 1 college graduation. I've got 1 about to graduate from grad school. It's, they missed so much. And we reminisce and we talk about that and we, you know, we wish they were here. But we also know that what we do and what we've been able to do is so much because of who they are, who they were. I even have, we were talking, I have a daughter, all 3 of mine actually have done dual enrollment. We went to Ryle, one of them is a current student at Ryle, and they have come to Gateway. So we have been able to, our family blessed with Gateway and all that Gateway does to promote education and experiences for all of these kids. I know my parents would just be beaming with pride as they were cheering on my kids and what is happening here. My dad, though, he didn't have a lot of formal education. If you knew him, you may have never guessed that because he was very intelligent, street smart, and wise. But if you ever saw the first draft of a speech or a letter that he wrote, his lack of formal education may have been a little bit more evident. But I did say my dad was wise, and the wisest thing he ever did was marry my mom. And she, among so many other things, was his proofreader. And she would smooth out the edges and allow his innate intelligence to take shape in the words that he shared. Together, they valued education. They championed learning in all of its many forms. And that's why this grant is so special to us. And it's a beautiful legacy for them. And Don and I are so proud to be here to represent them today. Thank you.
All right.
So, John and I, met when I began to work for Senator McConnell. I was a field representative for Mitch McConnell. He had worked for then Senator Bunning. And at first, John didn't like me at all. Our bosses were different in many ways. Plus there was a little bit of friction between the 2 offices, the Fort Wright office of McConnell and the Fort Wright office of Bunning. In 2004, there was a perception that Bunning's win was because McConnell took over the campaign in the 11th hour and dragged him across the finish line. So I came in 2004 and started working for my boss, not realizing that there would be tension from the other senator who was just down the road. John was immediately suspicious of me, and rightfully so. As time went by, he gradually began to warm up to me. I didn't know it, but he showed his affection by the relentless teasing. We had, in 2004, I started working for Senator McConnell. My bride and I had been married for a year. 2005, we welcomed our first child. 2007, we welcomed our second child. And that probably sometime in July or August, John and I were at breakfast together at Cracker Barrel along with a couple of other folks. And I was sharing with him that we were expecting our 3rd child. John, being the John that he is, looked across his ham sandwich and said, "Listen, I don't care what it takes. We're going to find the bastard that did this to you." That's how he was that we were expecting our 3rd kid. We went on to have 5 kids. John kept right on going with it.
Did you ever find that guy?
At 25 years old, at 25 years old at the time, I was right for Hayden. I had stepped into a role where I was the good cop, he was the bad cop. He had been at this for so long and I was still wet behind the ears. We were driving through his old stomping grounds, which was Grand County. We're on our way to an event. And he began to just spew forth wisdom. He had all kinds of things to share about people and places. We went through one spot of Grand County that was called Four Corners because it's an intersection. We went through another part of Grand County that's called Twin Bridges. on our way as we roll down Kentucky 22 towards our destination. And I dutifully made notes of all these things that he was sharing with me and this newfound knowledge. I was so eager to share it because, you know, I didn't grow up in Grant County and I wanted to talk about these things as if I knew what I was talking about. We get to our destination, he stops the car because he had to drive everywhere. I think the only time I ever drove him was whenever he was on the way to the hospital with like kidney stones or something. He stops the car, throws it in park, looks over at me as he's getting ready to get out, and he says, "Everything I've told you the last 30 minutes was bull." Out of the car. So now I don't know which way to go. So the teasing continued despite the fact that he came up, warmed up to me. John was a great father, and certainly I agree with you that the best decision he made was to marry his bride, Connie. And Connie was a lovely lady as well. She spent 30 years in the classroom. John was certainly a faithful man and exactly the type of person that can soar in Rotary. And now listen, I want you all to listen to me very carefully. I was a Rotarian. I was a Florence Rotary Club scholarship recipient in 1997. Then I came into the club sometime in the early 2000s, and I invited John to come to a meeting. But I did not invite him to be a Rotarian. And he never let that go. The fact that I invited him to the meeting, but somebody else is who invited him to become a Rotarian. So he went on, as you know, to be the club president and to be the district governor. And when I learned that John and Connie had left a gift to the Florence Rotary Club Foundation without any stipulations, there was a calling inside of me that said, we need to do something more than just simply take this money and redistribute it. So I've worked with members of the foundation board. We talked with John and Connie's family. We talked with Connie's sister. We talked with Beth and Meredith. We had a handful of conversations with others to say, what's the way to be able to honor their legacy? Connie, as you know, was very passionate about education, and John was certainly a pull yourself up from the bootstraps kind of person. So after much deliberation, we concluded the best way to honor them was through an endowment that can help those who run into unforeseen obstacles as they pursue their educational pursuits. This led me to a conversation with a Gateway representative of the fundraiser team who said, now this is a little bit ironic. You see, when we would travel, again, McConnell funding, we would go to these destinations and these members of the state government would talk about these exceptional projects that they were getting ready to fund. And it burned John to no end because he worked for a federal legislator and he knew that those were federal dollars and that these state government officials were taking credit for federal dollars. And if you know John, that doesn't fly. So every opportunity he had, he wanted to correct to make sure that the record was right. Well, here we are now trying to find a way to honor John and Connie. And sure enough, it's a federal grant that's available that Gateway knew about, had opportunity. And what we did is the total dollars that could be matched with the federal grant, we raised as Rotarians, and there are several of you in this room who contributed to that in order to create this endowment that continues to provide funding for Gateway to use for students when they come into some kind of needs. So whenever push comes to shove, if there is something that is getting in the way of education, that's what this hand up grant. The hand up grant is, if you think about it, HUG, it's a hub. It's an opportunity to try and help lift up that student if there was something that's getting in the way of their education. So I'm grateful to many of you who have contributed to this, and certainly am glad to be able to honor our friends John and Connie through this program. Dr. Fernando Figueroa is going to share a few remarks from Gateway's perspective, and then he's going to kick it off to share the rest of the story with our friends from Gateway who are recipients of this. Okay.
I wasn't scheduled to be here, but I met Wayne at an Eggs and Issues, and my calendar opened up, and so I was able to attend. Not going to talk long, it's just my heart's full. with the idea that, when I started here 9.5 years ago, the important thing was that the community embraced the college. And so events like this always remind me how much Gateway means to this community. That is a charge that we take very seriously. And that this scholarship doesn't support Gateway, it supports the dreams and the intentions of our students that come to us looking for a chance to just be seen, or be given an opportunity to see that community give back and give forward. So that, as far as Vice President for Advancement, and she really does the heavy lifting for these programs and support students.
To follow the president. It's a good day. Thank you, everyone, for having us. I was here last year and walked away so inspired and so grateful, and I was just looking forward to this again. So thanks for having us here. It's an honor to join the Rotary Club of Florence here today, and your values of giving back to community impact, of stewardship and of service, values that really align very closely to Gateway Community and Technical College and things that we hold dearly as well. So it's really good to be in company with you today. As Dr. Figueroa said, my name is Tess Burns. I'm the Vice President of Advancement, but maybe more importantly, I'm a Gateway grad. Gateway changed my life in 2006. I walked in one person and I walked out a completely different person. So I'm a testament to what Gateway can do. And really excited to have Tasha here today to speak with you as well. I'm also very grateful for John and Connie, and thank you, Beth and Don, for your family and for everything that they are doing. I was also a recipient of some funding that would never have, I never would have been able to go through Gateway without it. So I know, and we hear every day that there are students that could not progress further without a legacy like your family. So we really appreciate it. To all you, everyone at the Rotary that has contributed, this is very meaningful. And we see students' lives changed almost every day. Every day we see these stories. So direct impact in your community. At Gateway, our students are diverse in age. They're diverse in background. We serve a lot of different types of students. But the one thing I can say about our students that's the commonality is that they possess grit, they possess relentless determination, and they possess the drive to get to the finish line. So they have the work ethic to get there. It's normally life that gets in the way that stops them. Things like an unexpected high electric bill or a car repair that cannot be fixed. And so those things can cause them to pick up more work hours and stop out instead of continuing on. So it's not lack of hard work, it is just life happening. I wanted to share a couple of numbers with you today that are a little enlightening. So at statewide, through the Kentucky Community and Technical College system, 44% of our students ran out of money 6 or more times in the past year. So they're really living on that paycheck to paycheck. 69% of students would have trouble getting $500 in cash or credit in an emergency. So if they hit that emergency bill of $500, they would not know how to get it. And then 26% of students would not be able to get that amount from any resource whatsoever. Now let's zoom in specifically to Gateway students in Northern Kentucky. So Gateway served 5,600 students this fall. It is a record-breaking enrollment. It is amazing to serve that many students and such an honor. It also means that we have increased need. Our students are often working. They're often parenting, taking care of relatives, and juggling a lot of things in their life, plus investing in their education. So with your help, in fiscal year 2024, we were able to support 61 students with a total of $32,000 in emergency funds.
Wow.
In mid-year of fiscal 25, we had increased demand. And we reduced the award cap in order to stretch the funds and support further, as Sarah knows. And with your help, we were able to serve 40 students with a total of $16,325 with your support and others through the Student Emergency Fund. And remember, this is a last stop fund. So this means that all other resources in our community were exhausted. We
Sarah works with a wide array of nonprofits to help have other resources step in if they can. And then ultimately, if they cannot, this is the last stop fund that happens. And we know it works. So we know that you're making impact. 95% of those students who receive student emergency funds in fall of 24 were retained to spring of 2025. They were retained and continued. So that's what a hand up looks like in real time. And if there's one thing I can say about Gateway students, is that they don't need a handout, but they do need a hand up often. And so thank you for providing that to them. And then finally, I have the privilege of introducing a student who represents exactly what this endowment, why this endowment matters. Her name is Tasha Hill, and she is an inspiration to many that she meets, including us at Gateway. We're incredibly proud of her and grateful for her voice today and sharing that. And on behalf of Dr. Figueroa and the foundation board and all of us at Gateway, we want to thank you to the Salyers family and to all of you at the Rotary Club. Thank you for your investment.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
And I am a student at Gateway, the Health Information Technology Program. I returned to Gateway in 2023 after previously attending in 2010. In the past, it was challenging for me to continue my education because I was raising 4 small children while trying to balance and maintain childcare, transportation, and my family's responsibilities at home. Even though I tried very hard to continue my education, it became overwhelming. Eventually, I made a decision to withdraw from school. However, that time away helped me realize how important education is, especially when navigating through life without a college degree. With that understanding, I felt motivated to return and finish what I originally started. Coming back to Gateway has reminded me how special this school really is. Gateway is more than just a college. It truly feels like a family. No matter what you're going through, there's always someone who is willing to help and support you. The small classes, affordable tuition, and the ability to choose from 3 campus locations make Gateway a place where students will succeed. I appreciate Gateway not only because of the supportive environment, but also the amazing opportunity it provides. When I returned the second time, I had to apply for a new scholarship because I had used up all my financial aid in the past. Even though that was a little discouraging, Gateway provided resources to help me find scholarships and allowed me to return to school without the hassle of being overwhelmed with student loan debt. Their commitment to helping students succeed academically, financially, and personally is something I will always value deeply. Throughout my time at Gateway, I faced many barriers that could have prevented me from completing my education. One of my biggest challenges this semester was financial difficulty. I needed to purchase a book that was required for one of my classes. Without the help of Gateway, I would have had to drop that course that was important to my academic goals. Luckily, Gateway Student Success Emergency Funds provided me with immediate assistance. This process was simple, supportive, and free of judgment. I was able to receive the funds I needed to stay enrolled and to stay focused. Their willingness to step in and help during a rough time made a huge difference and reminded me that Gateway truly cares about its students. Another barrier that I encountered was not meeting the basic needs of my family and myself. There were times when groceries and personal care items became difficult to afford. Gateway's Food for Thought Pantry has become an important resource during these moments. Each campus has its own pantry stocked with fresh produce, canned goods, meats, and school supplies, as well as personal hygiene items. This pantry not only helped fill the gaps between pay periods, but also relieved the stress of wondering how I will provide for my family while trying to keep up in school. There is never any shame in asking for help at Gateway. Everyone there makes students feel safe and supported. You can walk in, choose what you need, and walk out with integrity. It's truly a blessing to be able to have a resource like this on campus. And it plays a major role in helping students like me stay on track academically. Overcoming these barriers has taught me the importance of determination, reaching out for support, and trusting that I am capable of succeeding, even when life becomes hard. These programs at Gateway have allowed me to continue my education without sacrificing the well-being of my family. These experiences has made me stronger and more determined to finish what I have started. I want to thank each of you for your support in making this possible. With your support and gratitude, a lot of students, including myself, would not have had the opportunity to continue their education or have food on their table. The biggest lesson I've learned throughout all of this is simple. Anything is possible if you believe in yourself and make use of the resources available to you. Never let your pride prevent you from missing out on a blessing. You will never know the value of a moment until it becomes a memory. Now let us move forward and commit in our hearts and purpose in our actions. Together we can shape the future we dream of. Thank you again for being part of this moment.
Actually, got me a little emotional. Thank you. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
The first year that we did the scholarship, my mother was at the hospital here in Florence. And there was an orientation class of new students. And I'm looking at these 8 students and I'm like, that was our first recipient. And so she was able to graduate and able to get a job at St. E's. So I'm glad to see things are going well for you.
Thank you.
So one of the things that Rotary, we want to make sure that this program, the scholarship keeps going. So we've committed to donate $1,000 this year, and we'd like to offer you this check.
She gets the money.
She gets the money.
We got-
Oh, we got the big check.
You can only cash one of them though, Tess.
Thank you. You are definitely married because the woman gets the check. But kind of a couple closing thoughts. Your mom Connie was a great woman. And you said something today that us men need to always think about. Connie smoothed out the corners of his rough edges. And I think that's a words for us men to be by. So I want to close with Thanksgiving is on Thursday, and a lot of this is about Thanksgiving. And it's interesting, the Pilgrims they called it the Book of Common Prayer that goes back to 1549. And it's called a general prayer of thanksgiving. And it says, we, your unworthy servants, give you humble thanks for all your goodness and loving kindness to us, and to all whom you have made. We bless you for our creation, preservation, and all the blessings of this life. But above all, for your immeasurable love in the redemption of the world by our Lord Jesus Christ. My fellow Rotarians, have a great Thanksgiving. Mr. President.
Yes. As you see, we have opportunities to do more donations. This semester, I became part of the family of Gateway. My daughter, a 33-year-old single mother, was participating in the school as well. All of her credit out the first 2 years of college from Eastern, were able to transfer up. So that made things much easier for her. So he's nothing but thrilled as I as a father. So keep up the good work, and we'll be here next week, 2nd. So if you're part of the board, stick around. We have a meeting, and thank you all for coming, and so pleased to have you all here. Thank you.